How are you, football fans? Tomorrow, you can stream Arsenal v Man United and Chelsea v Wolves. That's two unmissable fixtures for a one-off payment of just €10. To grab a Now TV Sky Sports Day Pass and only pay for the games that matter to you, search Now TV today. Content streamed via internet, full terms at nowtv.com.
And this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio!
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome to Sacred Matrix, a divine paradigm of love and universal consciousness, with your host, Janet Kira Lessin and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Together we transform the world.
And now, here are your hosts, Janet Kira and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio at revolution.radio. Oh, get feedback. Let me see what I got open here. Hold on one moment. My apologies. Okay. And I'm your host, Janet Kira Lessin. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Alex Lessin. Our producer is Thomas Becker. And today we have Jaimy Mauricio and Valerie McLaughlin, and they are putting on a conference, Ex-Filers United, in Rhode Island in April. I don't have the dates here. They'll have to tell us about it. Let's see. Jaimy Mauricio is the author of Beyond 2012, Watch Where You're Going. He felt a divine inspiration and a calling to write this book. About 2 months prior, the entire story was somehow magically implanted in his mind, and he could not get it out of his head. However, it wasn't until that day in August, when he experienced a unique calling from someone he just couldn't say no to, that he began writing. Jaimy is originally from New Bedford, Massachusetts. He holds a degree in chemical engineering and an MBA. While working as an engineer and business professional, he researches and maintains an interest in metaphysics, consciousness, religion, history, and ufology. And there's an upcoming paranormal UFO conference in Rhode Island in April. So on AquarianRadio.com, I've got some more information about Jaimy, and Valerie's going to tell us about herself in just a moment. But if you go over to AquarianRadio.com and click on today's show, you will see as you scroll down the list of presenters, and we're going to talk about them. And we're going to be joined by one of the presenters. So, Dr. Lessin, sound check. Are you there, sweetheart?
Yes, looking forward to the show indeed.
All righty. And let's see. Let's start with Jaimy. Hi, Jaimy. Aloha. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Janet. Aloha. Thanks so much for having us on, and appreciate you having us here.
Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun today. And how about we'll give Valerie the invisible talking stick. And Valerie, aloha, and tell us a little bit of how did you get into this?
Well, actually,
you got involved. Go ahead.
Well, actually, it's been about 2 years in the making. I actually was scheduling it for last September, but I got a little cold feet, but then I said, yeah, I had that burning desire, wouldn't let me go. I said, I've got to do this, I've got to do it. So the X-Files United Convention is the last week in April, Friday, April 26th, Saturday 27th, and Sunday the 28th. And again, it's been about a 2-year process. And I'm just a fan. I'm not a professional. I haven't written any books or presented at any conferences for the paranormal or UFOs, so on and so forth. But I've been a fan of the X-Files for 25 years. I love the show. I love the content of the show and the different ways that they presented the different topics. And I've been, since I was 7 years old, I've been always interested in things that were not in the mainstream. I grew up on Star Trek and Charmed and Bewitched and, all those shows that were The Dark Shadows, all those shows that were outside the mainstream always interested me more. I got into astrology, metaphysics. I've been self-taught. I've been just on my own journey. And it was just, things got a little status quo in my life. And I said, I want to do something that's fun. I want to do something that is interesting to me, something that I can share with other people. And that's how I came up with the idea of having this convention and calling it X-Files United, because the X-Files they covered just about every topic you could think of, and they did it well.
Right. And
that's what I did. I just started the process, and I got several guests, including Gary, and the Newkirks, Dana and Greg Newkirk, known as the Scully and Fox Mulder of the paranormal. And then in December, I got an email from Jaimy, and Jaimy came on board, and he has really has gotten things moving forward so fast that I couldn't get done. And so I was really lucky to have him see it on the website and on the internet and he emailed me, and it's been great.
Well, you can add conference producer to your resume, because that's a big deal.
Yes,
you're talking like it's not a big deal. No, I put on a conference in October called Stargate to the Cosmos, and it is a big deal putting on a conference. So congratulations for, having the initiative and doing it. So this is your brainchild, and Jaimy came on board. That's wonderful. And what do you do with your other part of your life? Do you have a real job, besides this?
Yeah, I have a regular job, a 40-hour-a-week job. I'm actually I've been in the human service field for many years, and mostly I work with recovering people with addictions and mental health issues. Yeah, so I've been doing that for 30 years. Well, yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're doing this. It's amazing. A full-time job and you're putting out a conference.
Well, thank you.
Well, let's I think Jaimy talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You just said
no. I was just going to say it's kind of, you have to have the big view, and you also have to have attention to detail. And that stuff gets a little boring to me, but I do it enough of it so I don't get totally lost.
Right. Well, somebody's got to, put up the website, right? Somebody's got to figure out how the money gets in the account, and somebody's got to pay the bills, and somebody's got to talk to all the presenters. Yeah. What?
Yeah, my weakest part, though, was the website. It was terrible. I knew it, and that's where Jaimy came in and rescued me. He's improved it immensely.
That's wonderful that he was able to help you. Maybe he can help me someday. But let's ask Jaimy to tell us about himself, how he got involved. Jaimy.
Yeah,
your turn.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks, Janet. My upbringing, I'm pretty much a mainstream person. I grew up lower middle class family, raised Catholic. And taught life's tough, get a good job, get a good education, work hard, pay your bills, church on Sunday, barbecues and ball games on the weekend, and that's life. So that was my upbringing, like so many of us. And in 2008, I wrote the book Beyond 2012, Watch Where You're Going, and that opened up my worldview, I'll say, to a bigger picture outside the mainstream, and that's when I dove down the rabbit hole into these topics, the genres that are covered in the X-Files show, into the paranormal, ufology, and spirituality, really. And so that's what piqued my interest in 2008, and from there I've been on this journey of researching and seeking out experiences that have been fantastic. And so I've attended several conferences throughout the U.S. On these topics since I started the book in 2008, and then I had come across the website that Val mentioned. I just reached out to her in December of 2018 and said, hey, I'd love to attend the conference, and if you need some help, I would be honored to be able to help you. And that's when she replied. And from there, I just, we met in January, and then from there, I've been helping Val with the website and reaching out to various contacts I have in the various fields to help with the lineup and help bring the conference together. So that's a little bit about my background and how I got involved.
And so what is your book about?
Yes, thanks for that question, Janet. The book Beyond 2012, it came to me. I'll say I'm more of a math and science guy, as you mentioned, an engineer by profession, and also a finance professional. So much of a numbers guy. But the story of the book came to me, and it's a book it's a science fiction book that has a spirituality component. It's really about, it begs the reader to ask themselves, what's important in their life? What are they doing? Where are they going? What happens to you after you die? Have you asked yourself those questions? And really helps you examine. It's really about this. The book is a sci-fi book in the sense that it's about this cataclysmic event that is about to happen related to the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, Switzerland. And then as things happen on the Earth, there's this event that almost destroys human civilization, but through it, people survive, and they come to this higher realization that we're all connected and that we have a higher purpose. And so that's kind of in a nutshell, the premise of the book. And it's about these four friends that are different backgrounds, different. One's an atheist, one's Catholic, one's a Muslim, and so they all have different backgrounds. And basically, they come together during this event where they think the world's going to end, and they ask, who's right, which religion's right, what's spirituality all about. And so that's basically the premise of the book.
Well, that's amazing coming from a little conservative Catholic boy who's an engineer. It's like, wow, it sounds like it got implanted in your head, because where did they come from? Let me pull in Dr. Lessin. What would you like to say about all this, honey?
Well, lots of things that I call it the other sphere, or the cryptosphere, things that we're putting in separate categories, like a UFO phenomenon, ghosts talking to the deceased, past lives and things like that, are really part of opening up to the same thing. But as a total, I never heard the X-Files. I never saw it. I was too busy reading or whatever. And I just wondered, is it a special way of presenting things, or is it got a structure that intrigues you? What is this X-Files stuff for people like me who don't know?
Well, it starts out with the two main characters. They're FBI agents, and Fox Mulder is known as Spooky because he investigates strange cases that have not been solved. And of course, they most of them have, about the paranormal. But he also, you learn that his sister, he was, I guess, 11 or 10 or 11. And I think his sister was about 13, 14. And she was abducted by aliens. And he's never let that go. And he wants the people to know the truth. So he uses the FBI as a way to help him investigate UFOs and abductions. And his partner is the skeptic. She's a medical doctor. She does autopsies. She's the one who, they're both very intelligent, and she's the one who is constantly saying, "Wait, there has to be a scientific reason for why this is happening." But as the TV show goes on, there are things that happen to her and that she sees that she can't explain, other than it was paranormal or UFOs involved, and she was being abducted, and it's so convoluted. There's conspiracy theory in it. They even have creatures like cryptozoology, different types of strange creatures. It was just such an intelligent show and written so well, and people loved the characters. And every week was different, but it had this arc where Fox wanted to find his sister, and you see the aliens, you see the Greys, you see the other stuff, and you see the government conspiracy to keep it quiet they don't want him to succeed. And I could go on and on and on, but basically that's it. It was on for 9 seasons.
It's the same plot as that thing we were watching about the time travelers, where they remember the same lady's looking for what happened to her sister. They took the same plot.
Yeah, it's kind of an archetype. But did they ever find? See, I haven't watched the reboot. This series was on. You have probably the stats. This series was on in the 90s. I was watching it in the 90s.
Yeah,
and then it just discontinued. I don't know from what year, but they just did a reboot. Was that, what year was the reboot? Was that 2017 or 18?
Yeah, it was last spring. Last spring they did season 12. The year before was season 11, and then there was season 10. So they did 3 more seasons, shorter versions, because it never died. The fans kept asking for it. Chris Carter continued to write. Oh, and they also had 2 movies in addition before the reboot. And it just hasn't died. It just keeps going and going and going. And now it has young fans now, fans who probably weren't even born when it started. And so it just doesn't die. It keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, and the same thing happened with Star Trek. You mentioned Star Trek. Now, I started following Star Trek when I'm older than you. Well, maybe not. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 65. So I watched Star Trek from the beginning in September of 1966 when it premiered, and so I was involved with the early Star Trek conferences. But that keeps going on. They've got another reboot, and they're going to bring Spock into the latest one that's on CBS. So it's amazing how, that's 50, 60 years ago. These things keep going on and on and on, because they're important. The information is important. But Fox never found it. They never had an episode where Fox found his sister. Or did they?
Well, actually, they did. Well, they did and they didn't. He did, and he found out it died. But with the things with the X-Files, you don't really know if it's going to end, though. You don't know if she's going to show up later. But yeah, he did. But he did find out that his sister died. But again, it's kind of suspicious. It's not.
Well, people don't
stay
dead on shows anymore either. They don't stay dead, right?
No, they don't. No. But they're just not the X-Files. I mean, they're just not the X-Files. I mean, with Ancient Aliens and the History Channel and all the new. I mean, it's been going on for over. There's been explosion of people who want this information, looking at the different religions, about UFOs, abductions, looking at what's out there. And I believe is there's just too much evidence to say none of this is true, that it's all made up. It just, to me, there has to be some truth behind it. How much truth, what the truth is, I guess that's what everyone is looking, is investigating or looking at or questioning.
So at this conference, you have a wide variety of presenters. You've got, tell us a little bit, because we're going to bring on in about 5 minutes Gary McKinstry, but tell us about like a quick rundown about your presenters, and then we'll bring on Gary, then we'll go back. Okay, let's see. Yeah, to Jaimy. How many presenters do you have? Is that a full list on your site, or do you have others that are listed?
Actually, I believe we have 18 confirmed. We are looking to add a couple or more. We won't know until maybe the end of the week about that. But we'll probably have 20, at least 18 to 20 presenters. And they're from different aspects. We have Joshua Cutchin, who is a young man. He's already written 3 books. The Brimstone Deceit, which I love the name. It's about a book about the different smells and odors associated with the paranormal, which I thought was very original. And the Feast of the Trojans, I believe that's the name, and that's about food offerings that were given to gods and in mythology. And the last one actually got really rave reviews, and that is the abductions of children, the secret or silent abductions of children. So he's a very well-read, very intelligent young man, and him and Timothy Renner is going to be on. Timothy is is someone who's been researching and has written books on Bigfoot. And so Tim and Joshua are going to be doing a book on Bigfoot. They're going to be actually doing a panel together. And I guess just going to say about Gary is he's known as the real deal up in Massachusetts. He has a following. People believe in him. So he's going to be doing a gallery of 130 people who and so he's a medium. So people who would like to see if they can get a message from their loved one. Yeah. We have the Newkirks, Greg and Dana Newkirk. They're known as, again, the Scully and Mulder of the paranormal. They have just done a documentary called Hellier, which has gotten rave reviews.
Is that Paul Hellier?
We also have Tom. Huh?
Is that about Paul Hellier? The documentary Hellier. What's that about?
I think I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen it myself yet.
It's about a town in Kentucky named Hellier.
Okay.
And, where the supernatural paranormal events occurred, and so they go to investigate. And it's a 5-part series.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah.
Oh. Well, let me take a little break from the rundown. We'll go back to I want to bring on Gary McKinstry since we evoked his name. So, Thomas and Mad Painter, can you call Gary and see if he's available right now? He's standing by for us. Are you there, Mad?
Oh yeah, I'm
Hello.
I'm calling.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. Just give us a moment, and we'll have Gary. I talked to Gary's, I guess, wife, Virginia, yesterday, and we just yacked.
She's a lovely lady. Yep, lovely
she
lady.
is. We had a good time.
Yeah.
So, hi, Gary. This is Janet Kira Lessin and Dr. Sasha Alex Lessin from the show Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio, and our producer Thomas Becker is here, and we have the people that are from your conference, Valerie and Jaimy, and so we're going to take a few minutes to. What are you going to be talking about at the conference, and who are you, Gary? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, I'm a professional psychic medium. I do radio, TV. Let's say, I'm in a bunch of different books. I'm also dad, grandpa. But what I'm going to be doing is basically teaching people the steps of how to contact people themselves if they wish to try. I've been doing that for over 35 years. I've dealt with everything from, I was the extraordinary case manager for Orion Paranormal back in the early 2000s. They were a ghost hunting crew. They'd call me in when they had something that needed to be removed. I've done a little bit of everything in the psychic field. I've got about 40 years experience. So I'm also a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason, have a doctorate in philosophy and religion, and besides that, I'm also an archer and a bunch of other fun things. I figured you'd like that part.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're a happy medium.
I'm a happy medium. Yes, I'm a medium at large. Let's put it that way. That's good. I have a life partner. My wife Virginia and I pretty much do everything together. She sets up everything and does all kind of wonderful things for me. And yeah, we have a fairly normal family structure. Because people think in my field, like, can you have a normal life? And pretty much I live with one foot in each world. Sometimes one world kind of overtakes the other, but it's a little different. I've taught courses in astral projection, tarot reading, you name it. Pretty much we've done it. Lectured at Harvard on magic in the 20th century in their philosophy department. So I'm pretty well rounded. Guys,
I know you talk to the dead, yes.
And I talk to the dead.
So do they?
Yeah. But that's just, it's kind of like part of the deal. We do a lot of large.
Do they come to you? Do the dead? How do you contact them? How did you know you could do that in the first place? What happened that you started talking to the dead?
Well, I didn't start talking to the dead. They started talking to me.
Right. Well, what happened? What was going on that they started to talk to you?
Okay, first of all, a lot of times in the movies and on TV, somebody gets hit in the head with a 2x4. They're in a terrible accident. Suddenly they can talk to the dead. In reality, what happened is I didn't realize I had a gift until later. When I was a child, it was kind of like I had the fanciful, everyone's going like, wow, you live in a fantasy world. But what I was actually seeing were different people and different things. I was lucky enough to have understanding parents, which was really good. They didn't lock me up. They didn't put me somewhere. You got to understand.
Thank God.
I may be a little older than some of your listening audience. So when I was a kid, if you couldn't run around saying, I'm talking to dead people, they usually give you electric shock for that, okay?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
This is how it works.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until the 80s when cable TV came in and suddenly, like, Sylvia Browne was on. John Edwards came out later, Von Prague and all of these people, where it was okay to be a medium.
Right.
It went from weird to kind of like an Art Nouveau kind of thing. And I didn't come out of the closet till later. Doing that lifty. But what happened is I get discovered. By the way, do we have time so I can tell you my opening show?
Yes, please. Yes.
Please.
Go ahead.
Please.
My wife kind of like signed on to this with me. In other words, she's of good humor, so she said, "Sure." So I was reading it. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a psychic fair. It's kind of like $1
yes.
Yeah, $1 a chance kind of deal. You walk into a hotel lobby and there's somebody in a turban going like, "Okay, we have readers over here." Well, I worked at those, and basically it was mostly out of town. So nobody really... I would disappear on the weekends and go to the psychic fairs. I don't know what they thought I was doing, probably dealing drugs or something, I don't know. So I would go and I would read, and that was really cool. And then my wife and I had our own radio show for about 5 years. And while I was on the show, there was a lady running a wedding expo. Those are the things they put on so the new brides can pick out their wedding gown and all of that. And they had an Elvis impersonator that was supposed to do the halftime show for him. And unfortunately, he got into a horrible accident, and he couldn't make it. So the lady from the wedding expo said, "Hey, you do that medium stuff on the radio. Could you do that live in front of a large group of people?" So I said, "Sure." And then, of course, I went home and said, "Honey, I think I'm in trouble." And she said, "Don't worry about it." The lady said, "It'll be fine." She said, "I think maybe if you'll be lucky if 15 people are going to really want to see this." I said, "Okay." So we're in Springfield, Massachusetts at a place called the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's this huge hall. And here's the wedding show going on. And I turn the corner, and there's about 150 people waiting. And I'm going like, "Oh, my God, this is interesting." Well, that morning, my wife had said to me, "Do you think it's going to go pretty good?" And while I was in the shower, this rather large lady came through and said, "Honey, I'm looking for my girls, and when you get there, just tell them that the reason they can't get the check from the second floor from the apartment is he's dead." And I'm going like, "Okay." So now I get to the wedding expo, and I'm doing the halftime show, and they're pulling out, like, "Grand prize winner, you won a wedding dress, and you won a week in Bermuda. And now you get to talk to your dead relatives." And I'm going like, "Okay, this is going to be fun." So I'm up there, and the two ladies I was looking for happened to be of color. They were black ladies, because that's who came through. Their mom was a very large black lady. And everybody in the audience is white. And I'm going like, we got a problem here. And then from around the corner, these two black ladies appeared. And I said, I felt like The Price is Right, like, "Come on down." And they did. I said, "Your mom came through," and she said, "The reason that the guy on the second floor hadn't given you the rent is because he's dead." I said, "By the way, you guys have the apartment on Front Street, right?" And they're going, "Yeah." And that's how we started.
Wow.
Yeah. And by the way, after that, I was very busy. The rest of the day flew. Then we started doing the large public events, because before that, everything was very private.
Right.
Except for the fact, like, even my folks really didn't get what I did back then. Except for I kept ending up getting offers to be on the radio. And, one day it was kind of like they happened to catch me on the radio, and I kind of had to fess up to what I was doing. And my parents were lovely, but they were from, like, that era where, if you're not getting paid, it's not a job. And I had a post office box. My dad would pick up the mail for me on occasion. And he said, "I don't know what you're doing, but you're getting a lot of checks in the mail, so keep doing it." So this is theoretically how it all began. And by the way, we do have, my dear wife and I do have a lot of adventures. One of the things that was actually funny, we do a lot of, like I said, a lot of live events. We do a lot of fundraisers. We average about 20 to 25 fundraisers a year. We do everything from Relay for Life to Autism Speaks to Cat Connection. You name it, we've basically raised money for somebody. And one of the events we were doing was for a local Lions club. And I usually, after about an hour, I take a break. I try to get my head clear because I got everybody else's grandmas in my head. And by this point, I took my break. The guy comes up to me and he said, by the way, he said, I just want to tell you, you're not that funny. And I said, excuse me? He said, well, my wife told me this was a comedy show and that I'd get a kick out of it. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm a medium. And he said, what's a medium? I said, well, I talk to dead people. He said, oh, now I get it. This is why I said, yeah. And he said, well, in that case, you're pretty good. So, by the way, I do take my job very seriously. And in case you're wondering what I actually do is, like today, my wife and I went and did a private reading for a family, and a large part of what we do is I try to provide closure or insight to, like the gentleman there today wanted to know pretty much, there was a question about right before his dad passed, what had happened. And Dad came bursting through to say, well, the morphine didn't kill me, which was kind of cool because this is before he asked the question. So, he was all upset. He was very angry. And it was nice because I was able to disarm him from basically doing something crazy like putting a lawsuit in where he really didn't have to. So this is kind of part of what I do.
Well, what did kill him? If the morphine didn't kill him, what killed him? What did he mean by that?
He was very close to passing. His breathing was off. His white blood cell count was like through the roof. His immune system was non-existent. They were just about, he was almost at that point of passing, and the poor man just passed. But the hospital had given him a dose of morphine to slow his breathing down, to keep his heart rate stable. So the son thought this must have killed him, the dose of morphine. In other words, he kind of thought they overdosed him on morphine. And Dad, the very first thing he came through to say was, morphine didn't kill me. So right off the bat, that locked it in. Unfortunately, you and I and everybody else knows that the physical body does not last forever.
Right.
Your vibrational rate, your energy pattern, your aura, your energy is going to go on. That's pretty much, if you want to call it, eternal. But when it comes down to the physical body, we all have an expiration date. And, so I don't want to bring everybody down on that, but that happens. But my job is basically to change my vibrational pattern to match that of the reality that they're in. So I kind of tune myself to that point, jump in, talk to them out there in the ether, and basically, hopefully, get some kind of closure for these people. I'm a pretty normal guy.
Yeah, pretty normal. So I'm going to have you on a show because this is fascinating, and we're going to have you on a show later on in the month or early in April, a longer show with us because it was really a delight meeting you and your wife, and I think there's a lot we can do with this. However, let's kind of wrap this up for this show. So what are you going to be doing at the conference?
Wait.
Oh, go ahead. You have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I really do. Hey, while we got you here, you've talked to Janet for just a little bit. What's your what do you channel when you channel for Janet? What kind of hit do you get on her? Can you tell her now?
She's got everything from ascended masters down to ETs to basically the guy down the street who had a heart attack. You got a little sorry, but Janet's kind of got an open channel to the universe. Yeah. So, by the way, I don't know how many teachers you have or how many, I'll use the term ascended masters you got that come through, but I'll tell you, it's kind of like the information highway that seems to be bouncing around you. So.
Yeah, and I've had I can learn a lot from you because I've had trouble maintaining, because it's not normal, right? Although we're making it normal. And I will talk to you perhaps in another show, but it's like, I don't know what to do with it all because I was born like you, very, very psychic. They started coming in when I was in the crib. It's like it's a superhighway. You're right, and you're right on. So, but I don't know how. I want you to teach us, the people who have these experiences, what to do with them. I know you have your part where you pull people in and talk to them, but I'm sure that I'm not the only one. I know there probably has to be, thousands of millions of people out there that are trying to deal with the dead coming through all the time.
In the future, if you'd like, we could talk a little bit about how to change the vibrational pattern so you can either pick up more, find information that's more relevant. I mean, it's lovely if someone can tell you what's going to happen in 50,000 years, but sometimes know, like, what's going to happen 3 years from now, 2 years from now, or even, a month from now. But yeah.
Or which horse is going to, I'd like to know which horse is going to win the race and stuff like that, too.
Well, we may be able to do that. And by the way, yeah, I could kind of like guide people if you'd like at a further date on kind of like being able to connect to their own and shutting it off. That's a large.
Yeah, I had to shut it off. I had all these people coming and they wanted therapy because I'm a therapist in my other life, right? In my day life, I do therapy, and they kept coming in. The dead need therapy because they don't know they're dead or they don't know what to do about being dead, and I'm sure you've had the same thing. So I did therapy for a long time, but one time I talked to Sasha. I said, I'm not getting any sleep. I'm not getting into my own dream state that I need to have. I'm spending all night doing therapy, and then I get up and do therapy with other people, and it's like I need a break. So he said shut it off. That's what we did. We shut it off. But some of them are really powerful, and they don't take shut off. They just ram right through, and it's like, okay. And so Sasha helps me work with the dead. We do a dialogue with them. Yeah.
The other thing is I may be able to help you guys create a psychic waiting room. I have a waiting room.
Sounds good.
It's kind of like take a number wait, so to speak. I've created a place vibrationally or in my mind, so it's like I keep it kind of orderly so I can go out to dinner and make it through dinner. Go to family events without picking up something. Otherwise, you tend to go a little insane. But yeah, there are tricks and tips that I may be able to help people with so they can have a more normal daily life and still be able to access what they need when they need it.
So you're going to be going to this conference, and you're going to be opening up all these portals, and people are going to come through.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you plan for the conference so everybody will go from this talk here and go sign up and get their tickets so they can see you. Nice. Go ahead, tell us about it.
I do believe on Saturday I'm going to be doing a lecture on basically how to become your own medium. And by the way, and I will put in some disclaimers, I'll also teach them how to close the gate. And then I will be doing, I'll be doing a connections, we call it connections show or event, so I'll be doing live medium work, and that's from 7 to 9 p.m. on Saturday. I'm also doing... yes.
I think you got the time wrong on that, Gary. I just wanted to, let you know it's Saturday afternoon, not 7 to 9. Yeah. Just so there's no confusion. Yeah, just wanted to chime in there for a minute.
I take it this is the Magnificent Valerie.
Yes.
It is the
I know about
Magnificent,
but...
So yeah, Saturday afternoon I'll be doing a connections event now that but I know I'm doing a lecture in the morning, right, Valerie?
I think it was just the gallery for Saturday, and you were going to do some mini tarot and palm on Sunday afternoon.
Very correct. But anyway, I will be there, and like I said, I'll be doing the connection show. We're going to be doing. I hate to use the term show, but I'm used to doing the event, I guess I'll call it. Yes, it's Connections, an event with a medium. We'll be doing that on Saturday. Then on Sunday, I'll be doing the mini palm and tarot readings. Those are more for everyday life. Am I going to meet a new man? Is my job, all the fun stuff.
But Gary, I love that idea about doing that lecture. So next year, if you want to come, we'll have you do that next year.
Yeah, because my schedule actually said I was doing a lecture from 10 to 11:30, so I didn't know.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll get that ironed out. That's lovely.
Yeah.
But yes, I would love to. If you want to invite me back next year, I would love to do that too.
Sure.
And I'm very much looking forward to this, you guys. By the way, for anybody out there listening to the X-Filers United convention, she's got some of the biggest names on the East Coast coming and West Coast. The roster is really full. So, if you're looking to find out anything about anything from abductees to Bigfoot, you name it, to cryptozoology, which are all fascinating subjects, God, I sound like I'm reading a list from the History Channel. We got everything ancient aliens, cryptozoology. I'm surprised Josh Gates isn't coming. The guy from Expedition Unknown there. So, yeah, I will be there, and, by the way, be glad to talk to people, too. My wife and I are always very approachable. So if anybody's out there listening and you want to come, if you see me, it's okay to talk to me. I'm not off limits. Wow.
That's excellent. I wish I could be there. I'm all the way in Hawaii.
Well, they have planes, Rhode Island's
it's
beautiful,
possible.
Not far from Newport.
Yeah.
If you decide,
maybe. We'll see.
If you decide to come to Newport, I'll buy you some clam chowder.
I love clam chowder.
I mean, what a deal.
I'll take you up on that, yes.
Anyway, we will be there Saturday. We will be there Sunday. Like I said, it's an action-packed couple of days down in Rhode Island, which is really cool. It's a great time of year. God, now I sound like the basically the travel bureau for Rhode Island. But it's going to be a very exciting event. And by the way, even my Connections events, again, I'm not a comedian by any means, but they're not boring usually. They tend to have some tears, some laughter, a little bit of everything in them. And by the way, the biggest thing is they are genuine. I try to give as much validation as possible. Do I have like one more minute?
Sure. I was going to ask everybody if they want to ask you a quick question before we come up on the break. So yes, go ahead. And then quick question from everybody who wants to ask you a question. Go ahead.
On the validation part, like today, there was a young lady with this family group, and I talked to her about the note that she slipped in her dad's pocket before the funeral. Because Dad was talking about the note that she had put in there. Now, look, he didn't show me what was written on it, but the fact that she put the note in there, and then he was cremated with the note, and he's got the note, which kind of freaked them out in a good way. She just needed to know Dad got the note, because he couldn't tell her personally, like, hey, I read the note, honey. So when I talk about validation, that's what we're talking about. I'm not going like, yes, I knew the dude. I knew he was like 5'10" and about 180 pounds, but so are a couple million other people. But I don't. And by the way, if I cannot connect to something, the other thing is, I will tell people. The other night I had one of those where the guy asked me a specific question, and for whatever reason, Spirit would not give me the answer. And I told him, I said, look, I could sit here and make something up for you, but I said, you want reality, and I'm not getting that. So, if you're looking for cheap theatrics, unfortunately, that's not it. We deliver reality the best, or at least my version of reality, and we deliver the best we can. So now, if you said somebody had a question.
Anybody have a question for Gary?
And please don't ask me if Donald Trump's getting reelected.
Hey, Gary,
go ahead.
Hey, Gary, this is Jaimy Mauricio. I'm assisting Valerie with the conference. I just wanted to say hi first. And just one quick question I had was, I know you speak with those that have passed, but just curious, do you ever get messages from otherworldly beings outside the old extraterrestrial phenomenon? Do you ever receive messages from any other civilizations or races?
I've had, wow, that's a great question. Thank you. I have had messages from what they refer to themselves usually as ascended masters, whether they are extraterrestrial, whether they are they're from definitely a different dimensional plane. And unfortunately, most of those messages are prophetic, which is wonderful, but most of the people here aren't ready to receive them. You know, no offense, but a lot of us have worldly things, so we don't get into a lot of the heavy-duty prophetic messages, but yes, I have received those. And again, to pinpoint, they can come through looking like anything they want. You know what I mean? Because they're an interdimensional being. So they came through mostly looking like something I would almost expect them to look like. What their real form would be, I couldn't tell you, okay? And where they're from, whether they're from someplace, you know, another light system, or whether they're from a dimension next door, don't know, but they seem to know a heck of a lot more than we do. And they seem to be rather worried about where we're going. So yes, I've had interdimensional connections or channeling, let's put it that way.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing you and really jazzed about the conference. So it's going to be fantastic.
That would be wonderful. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, anybody else before we let Gary go?
Yeah, Gary, I really have a question because I'm fascinated by you're a high-level Mason, and I wonder what distillation of their wisdom do you have for the people that are listening to us now?
A large part of the doctrine, so to speak, is trying to bring mankind up out of the darkness. One of the biggest things they strive for is light. And when I mean light, I'm talking spiritual light. And by the way, not a specific deity. You could be any race, creed, and what they're doing is trying to pull people from the darkness to the light, and that's what drew me to them. And besides, I also like some of the alchemaic, I'll use the term alchemaic studies that at one time that they did. When I was younger, I kind of cut my teeth in magic, basically changing vibrational harmonics around me. And that's a large part of why I originally joined and found out it was a lot more than that. That's a little deep, huh?
It's wonderful. Thank you. I'm so curious, and thank you so much.
Well, I didn't join just for the pancake breakfast. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a great bunch of guys, but there's a lot of ancient wisdom there, and unfortunately today, it's not lost, but a lot of it is undeciphered by many of the people in the organization, and I enjoy the studies there. So, and by the way, if you're a 32nd degree, it doesn't mean you can levitate, unfortunately.
Oh, darn. I was hoping you would levitate for us.
I'll try. I'll give it my best shot.
Okay.
But, that's, again, a wonderful fraternal group, and unfortunately getting older as we speak. I think I'm one of the younger members, and that's kind of a scary thought. We're losing them daily, but we're trying to revive some of that and bring younger guys in so we can kind of share the light with them. So anyway, that's we're not scary, and we're not taking over the world. Gosh, I wish. At this point, I don't think we want to. But anyway, and the symbolism, by the way, if you really get into it, it's all based on sacred mathematics. Yeah. Wow.
Wow. So much we could learn from you. That's amazing.
Well, at least it's...
Well, we look forward... Yeah. Well, we look forward to having you on the show. We're coming up on the top of the hour and a break. So thank you so much, Gary, for coming on. We appreciate you giving us wonderful insights. Everybody be sure to go over to... Now, I'll say the name of the website, Valerie, while we're coming up on the break. So, and Gary, whoever wants to say it.
Valerie, you're going to handle you the website, right?
Oh, yeah.
Name of the website.
www.x-files, Filers, United.com. It's all small case.
Wonderful.
X-Files United.
Is it filers or files?
It's filers.
F-I-L-E-R-S.
No.
Filers.
Yeah, filers. Yes, X-Filers United.
Okay,
I have one
good.
quick question
X-Filers.
before we go.
Go ahead.
Scully
Go
gonna
ahead.
be there? Well, I just wonder if you had Scully.
Did you invite her?
Yeah, did you guys invite her?
What's an invitation?
Yeah,
Maybe she wants an invitation.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I was wondering
Scully.
if right, Mulder and Scully. I was wondering if
Mulder.
they invited them.
Oh, I would love to have them, but they're way out. This is our first year. They're way out of our price right now.
Skype.
Yeah, 1 year we will have them. Probably David Duchovny first, because Jillian lives in England and she's doing All About Eve, the play. So she's always doing something. But that will be one of the plans to have. We're still working on maybe getting someone from the show this year, but we're still kind of working on that. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not, but definitely next year. Next year, I really would like maybe get Chris Carter, the originator of the X-Files, who started it all. That would be great to have him there. So we're going to be exploring a lot of different avenues.
And you got to get the smoking man, okay? Well,
And that's our break. Thank you so much.
you,
We'll see everybody in 5 minutes. Aloha. Come back in 5.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
You need some more than speed records in this day and age. You need coverage.
Coverage? Oh, you mean them little root weevils that crawl around popping off cameras in your face?
Those root weevils write history.
Many of you know that quote by Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. Well, you can, and Event Horizons will give you those truths. So when you're mad as hell and not going to take it anymore from that memorable CNN network, you'll know just what to do. We will draw you in and become your news addiction at Event Horizons. Join us Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time at freedomslips.com. At Revolution Radio. Our world team members are Dennis Fetcho, John Ilias, David Dunger, Hyla Cass, MD, Melanie Bridgeton, Jim Mars, Paula Harris, John Trallo, Maria Payan, Christopher Husser, DODDS, Jonathan Orchard, and me, your anchor, Dr. Robin Falco.
If you decide not to volunteer, it will not be held against you in any way.
Sounds dangerous.
It is. Very dangerous.
Count me in.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps. Is your data safe? Do you have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation? Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
In breaking news, a visiting Syrian diplomat reported today that their population is evolving rapidly and advancing into a 5th dimensional consciousness. They are seeking peace with all cosmic cultures, which may mean that the Earth will be asked to join the prestigious Galactic Federation of Light Alliances. Please join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway on Lost Knowledge, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A, for the latest breaking news on the Star Visitors' peaceful contact and the ongoing project of cleansing the Earth.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
Right! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio!
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Aloha and welcome back to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio. And I'm your host, Janet Lessin, with co-host Dr. Sasha Alex Lessin, producer Thomas Becker, and our guests on today's show are Jaimy Mauricio and Valerie McLaughlin. And I'm getting some feedback for some reason from somewhere. Before we get back to our show, I'd like to remind everybody to please go over that donation button, please, and make your donation. We have a new month here. We really appreciate your donations. They allow us to stay on the air. And I know we have a special going. Thomas Becker, what's the special? Tell us about it, please.
For a $100 donation in the U.S. and $110 in Canada, you can get 2 Silver Eagle uncirculated coins, or 1 Silver Eagle and 1 seed pack, which is 18,000 seeds, or 2 seed packs. So that's a pretty good deal. That's like 50%.
And how do they pay for it? What do they do?
On PayPal, you just, in the comments, you just put what it's for and your address.
Okay, make sure you do that.
And that's only good through midnight tonight.
Oh, midnight tonight. Make sure you do that today. Don't forget. At midnight tonight, which time zone?
I imagine if it was Midwest, you can just tell them it's, not midnight here yet.
Yes. Alrighty. Sasha, what do you think about all this?
I think this is fascinating. That's I wish I could go to the conference. It sounds like it's really hot.
I know. I want to go. And you guys are lucky over there on the East Coast. So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just was. Jaimy got cut off, so.
Oh no.
Maybe Bob can call him again.
Yeah, Thomas, can you call Jaimy again?
Thomas.
I was just going to put him on.
Okay,
yeah, Thomas, could you please call Jaimy? Okay, give us a sec.
Got to figure out what number
keep talking.
Then it's up to you, Valerie. Do a song and dance for us.
Well,
this is
Jaimy
fascinating. How do you decide? How do you decide who you're going to choose? How do you choose your speakers?
Well,
okay, Jaimy,
for Gary,
go ahead, answer the question.
Yeah, well, for Gary, what I did is I went on the internet and I looked up mediums in the Northeast region, and who did their galleries, because I didn't know one myself, and I saw him, and he was going to have, he does a lot of fundraising, that's correct. A friend of mine, and we went to Springfield, Mass, or it was near Springfield, Mass, and he was doing a fundraiser for a federal nonprofit called Pink Hippie. And what they do is they provide free services for people who have been diagnosed with cancer, survived cancer, and services for their family. And it's all free, like acupuncture and massage therapy and so on and so forth, and a lot of other things and products. And they serve parts of Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. So, and I didn't know, I never heard of them before. And so I went to one of his galleries, and I was very impressed. because what he said was true. He's down to earth. He gives people closure. He gives people detailed information that only the family would know. It's not general stuff. I remember a couple of different readings he had. There was one that about this family who he remembered about their grandma and how the grandma would put like $5 bills in a small envelope for the children, the grandchildren and stuff. And it was very specific, and it brought a lot of, like he said, some laughter, tears to the audience. And I just knew he was genuine. I knew he was real. And so I got in touch with him after that. And I'm glad to say that Pink Hippie is going to be our nonprofit also at the conference. We are having them as part of the conference. They will be telling people their services and what they provide, and they'll be doing raffles and so on and so forth. So it was a wonderful way to get to know new people and to get to know Gary and his wife Virginia. And he's a very intelligent, learned man, and so that's how I got in touch with Gary. And the same thing with the Newkirks. The internet is a wonderful tool, and I looked up and I saw the Newkirks through the Center Stage. That's their talent agency, and they had a bio on them. And when they said that they're the Scully and Mulder of the paranormal, that got me. They were the first people I contacted. And they also have other talent, and the other one is Tom Reed. And Tom is an experiencer. He and his family had a experience with a UFO in Sheffield, Massachusetts in the 1960s. It has been validated. 2 governors of Massachusetts have said, yes, this did happen. So they validated it. And I believe he's the first, his family is the first UFO experience that has been cataloged in I believe it's the National UFO Congress. I'm not quite sure of the name. But it's the 50-year anniversary is, I believe, this coming later this year. And so he is going to be part of the program too. So I just got right away. I got Gary, the Newkirks, and Tom, and then I just kept investigating. I kept looking for people in different areas, because that's what it was. I wanted it to be a convention that discussed all the different aspects of the paranormal or UFO or whatever you wanted, as the X-Files did. And where people can learn. I wanted people to learn from people and to discuss. And that was my main purpose. I just didn't want it to be a convention about celebrities, a bunch of celebrities and stuff. I wanted substance. And I think our 18 to 20 speakers is exactly what you're going to have. It's going to have substance. You're going to learn. You're going to be able to be with people who have had similar experiences or who have the same interests as you do that the mainstream doesn't have. Or you can't talk about it with the mainstream individuals. They look at you like you have 2 heads, kind of thing.
Right.
So that's how it started.
Well, wonderful work and a great idea. And I'm so glad it came together. So let's see. What do you want to do next? Let's talk to Jaimy. We got him back on. Jaimy, let's pass the talking stick back to you. Tell us about your presentation. What are you going to discuss?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
So, so just to add on what Valerie said, I'm really excited about this lineup of speakers, being, passionate about the genre and the topics, really passionate about all that we're going to present at the convention. I think it's going to be fantastic. Some of the other folks too, as Valerie mentioned a bunch of them, but we're also going to have Aaron Cajou, who did a award-winning film called The Bridgewater Triangle, which is about an area in Massachusetts where there's been paranormal and sightings of craft. And that film will be presented as well during the conference, so he'll be there. Just Paul Eno will be there. Paul's been researching paranormal for over 40 years. He worked with Ed and Lorraine Warren, most notably, who worked on the...
Oh, talk a little louder, bro, okay? Up the volume.
Can you hear me? So, how's that?
That's
Is that better? Yeah. So I was just saying we'll also have Paul Eno will be at the convention as well. And he's been investigating paranormal activities for 40 years and worked with Ed and Lorraine Warren, most notably. So he'll be there as well. He's been on various TV shows, Discovery, Travel, History Channel. So just the lineup is fantastic. In my talk specifically, I'll be talking a bit about my book and really about my experiences that called me to write Beyond 2012. Watch Where You're Going, and really the spirituality aspect of the whole ufology phenomenon, which I think is real. I think you've had Ray Hernandez on your show before in the Free organization, and you talked a bit about that. So that's one of.
So what called you? So what called you?
What called me to write the book?
Yeah. So it was basically what I'd call maybe somewhat of a paranormal experience. Again, the idea of the book was in my head for several months, and I ignored the whole calling to write this book. And one day, a paranormal event that's in the forward of the book, basically, where a voice came to me and said, basically, I had to write the book. And in a certain setting that was was just undeniably that this is something that I got to pay attention to here. So that called me to write the book, and from there, as I started doing research for the book and started really investigating, these topics, I watched the video by Project Camelot, David Wilcock, and a few things got me going in that, and then I went down the rabbit hole. And then from there, it led me all the way to 2013. I actually traveled to Mount Adams, where Kenneth Arnold coined the term flying saucer, where in 1947 he saw some craft. And so I traveled to Mount Adams. I visited the ESETI Ranch. James Gillen, I believe you all have interviewed him too. He's his interviews in the archives. Yep. And phenomenal gentleman, phenomenal place ESETI was. And that's where I really went from being a researcher to seeing craft and seeing things that I couldn't reconcile, and that's when my world changed. I think that visit in 2013, and so that called me to basically just dive into it further, and that's what got me into meeting Ray Hernandez and learning about the spirituality component, and really knowing now that there's more to it than just just craft and just these beings that are visiting us. I think there's, I think that's the next leap for our civilization too. I think that the other thing that interests me is that, once we discover and once it's, well understood we're not alone in the universe, I think for me that's a big leap for the civilization of the planet. So that's an aspect that really gets me excited. I think we're at the precipice of that, especially with the recent events like the 2017 New York Times article talking about the craft that was off the coast of San Diego, and the video released by To the Stars Academy. And so all these events that are happening now, that I think the disclosure is kind of a slow leak that's permeating throughout society. I think it's exciting times to be in. Thank you.
It is. Wow. So what do you guys want to tell us about your conference? So you have this conference and you're bringing all these people together. What do you hope to accomplish by bringing this together? What kind of, just open-ended. What do you hope to accomplish through your efforts?
Well, again, one of my goals when I started this whole out is to have people come together to learn, to grow, to discuss these different types of topics, and to have more of a community. I have wonderful friends, but they're not really into this, into these topics. And so I said it'd be nice if especially in the Northeast. I mean, we have such a history, but it just seems like we're all scattered and we don't really know each other. And so one of the things is just to have a place where people can start making connections and to learn about what the books people are doing, the research that is being done in the different areas that we're going to be covering, and to have fun. I want it to be a fun, informative convention. And the response from the speakers we got after Jaimy came on and he reached out to so many more. We got so many people, speakers who wanted to be on it, to be on the East Coast, and to be part of this convention. So that was wonderful. That was a wonderful response that we got. So that's my main thing, is for people to come together, have fun, and learn, and realize what research is being done, what books have been written, and who to go to or who to follow, to keep following, after the convention.
Yeah.
So what kind of, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Janet.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, similarly, I think, my motivation and excitement for the conference is bringing people together, talk about this genre, these topics. And I think what you asked Gary, too, I think, the research I've seen is that the folks who, especially the abduction or the experiencers, I'll say, they can help each other. Similar to what you asked Gary, how can you help other folks that are dealing with, the abilities that he's come to know and work with. Similarly, I think folks that are, share contact experiences, I've seen them also help each other, and I think that's a great aspect of this conference. And then also, I think, I'm hoping, there will be people who are like-minded. We can discuss these topics, but hopefully expand the awareness to maybe a few folks that might come in as, not as familiar with the topics, and really share some knowledge and educate more people about the topics, cryptozoology, the paranormal, and the ufology, with some very credible, great presenters and speakers that that can really present some great information and help educate others.
So what kind of activities going on? The paranormal and the cryptozoology and the UFOs, and what kind of activities going on in your part of the world? Anybody able to address that? Because I'm from the East Coast, and when I lived there as a child, it was just I had UFOs all the time. I saw ghosts all the time. I don't know if it was me or if that was what was going on. So I was born in 1954, and I left that part of the world in 1989. And I was just, my whole life there was just always something going on. Is that still happening? There's all this activity going on? What's it like?
Well,
I'd say
for me,
go ahead, Val.
Go ahead, Jaimy. No, go ahead, Jaimy.
No, I was going to say, I think there definitely is activity in the area. There are MUFON is active in the Northeast here, so there are reported sightings that they do record, in the New England area. One of our speakers, actually, Andrew Lake, he is a author and paranormal researcher and the founder of Greenville Paranormal Research. He's done he's visited several sites that are haunted in the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area. His work was the basis for a PBS special called The Legends of Dolly Cole. So certainly there's definitely sightings in the New England area. There are definitely a lot of old. I live in the Newport. You mentioned Newport earlier, so I live in the Newport area. A lot of very old houses, a lot of history here. Especially when it relates to the paranormal. So absolutely, there are certain sites to see here that if one wants to check out that have paranormal activity, of history of paranormal activity, and definitely sightings here in the Northeast.
What about go ahead. Go ahead, your turn. Then I want to ask about the abduction phenomenon, but go ahead, your turn.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just say that I have not had I'm not an experiencer. I've never seen a UFO. I've had one experience of cosmic consciousness when I was in my 30s. That's about as paranormal as I got. But one of the things I just learned is that there is a support group for experiencers, people who have been abducted. I believe it's in Massachusetts. I don't have I just heard about it this past week. But that's something that we can certainly, hook people up, at the convention. Say, hey, look, there's a support group. You don't have to be all alone. You can talk to people who understand your experience. So that's a wonderful thing. And I never knew about the Bridgewater triangle. It's kind of like, the Bermuda Triangle. But other people have heard about it, about the strange occurrences that have happened. I believe there was even a satanic cult murders that they believe would happen. So, I mean, it's just there's so much to learn and so many new things to learn. I think it's just going to be a wonderful networking conference, and people are going to say, oh, this is happening, that's happening, or you're part of that. And people are just going to come out with so much new information and connections that they didn't have before.
It sounds wonderful. Sasha, any questions?
Well, I think that what's implicit in the whole conference is acceptance of your own experience and your own way of seeing things or hearing things or sensing things, and not allowing other people's judgments of you to deny your own direct experiences. That's where your truth is, and not to shut other people's truth off just out because they use different metaphors or conceive of things differently, but to make space for one another. That's what I'm getting. Do I got you right?
Sasha, thank you so much. That's a very good summary of what I'm hoping. I don't want people to come in with judgments, or even among people in the paranormal or whatever you want. This whole thing is that everyone has their own perception or how much truth they can take. Like, I was at the Michigan Paracon, and I believe it was in August, and there was people who were working on UFOs who believed in that, had experienced it, but they couldn't believe in Bigfoot. And then there was people who did Bigfoot or paranormal investigating, and they work with ghosts and entities, and they couldn't believe in UFOs. So it's what your perspective and where you're at that time. But this conference is about people accepting other people's. They don't need to believe in it, but accepting another person's experience. I like the way you just said that. That was really nice. Thank you.
Okay, one of the things that's really interesting is to, as much as you can, to remote view from the other person's space. So you imagine you're behind that another person's eyes and feeling the way they feel, and feel how each of your energy centers, your chakras, is relating as you remote view them, so to speak.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jaimy?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, what I mentioned the spirituality component, and I mentioned my background, being raised kind of mainstream, and one of the things, having an open mind and attending several conferences and meeting several of these folks and being open and listening to their experiences, and then, having some of my own, one of the things I've learned is really learned about the ego and keep your ego at check, and really, connect with your what is consciousness, and connect with that higher state of being of who we really are. And once you do that, I think the box comes off the lid, and life can be so much more profound and peaceful. And so that, that aspect of it, of no judgment, having an open mind, I think so many people could benefit from that. And when you come in with preconceived notions and judgments, then you come in with a closed mind. So a lot of the folks at the conference obviously will be open, and some of those that might be kind of on the fence, may have their world opened up too, like I did along my journey, researching and attending conferences. And so, that's where you see real transformation happen. I think that's really exciting when you see folks kind of, the bulb goes on and they go, wow. And it is an experience, Val's heard this before, but like I was saying, if you've never tasted chocolate ice cream and and there's someone else who's never tasted it, and you try to tell them, here's what chocolate ice cream tastes like, and they've never tasted chocolate ice cream, you really can't. You can tell them it's sweet and it's this and it's that, but until you have the experience, until you actually taste the chocolate ice cream, then you know what it's all about. And so, that's kind of how I equate these experiences to that people have and they share with others.
Wow, and I love what you're saying about that's a way to get past your ego, to let yourself really feel from another person's perspective. It lifts you automatically to a spiritual space out of your ego.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm really curious about the cryptozoology aspect of your conference. Is it just limited to Bigfoot, or are you seeing other types of beings? You see in that part of the world?
Well, Bigfoot seems to be the most prominent from what I can see. Of course, the Loch Ness Monster and Nessie. I want to find him myself. I believe he's around or she's around. I really want to find him or her. The Mothman. The Mothman is coming back. They talk about that. And there's a couple of different websites that, or podcasts too, that talk about these creatures that have lived in the past, or they've seen now, or they've never seen before, and they're coming back. It's an area that I don't know that well. I've heard of Bigfoot. I've watched some shows on it. Of course, I've heard about Nessie, but it's not. I don't know that area as well as I do some other areas, but it's fascinating. The National Cryptozoology Museum is actually in Maine, and Lauren. Lauren, I'm going to blank out on his last name. Please forgive me, but his first name is Lauren. He's written 20 books on the subject. But it's in Maine, and I had no idea that the National Museum of Cryptozoology is actually in Maine. It's like 4 hours away. So I've learned so much. And we have one of the youngest people. His name is Colin Schneider, and he is only 18 years old. He'll be going to college next year, and he's one of the youngest researchers of, probably the youngest researcher of this field, and he's gotten some national awards. And he has his own blog and his website, and he's done research. And so he's going to be at the conference, and he's a very intelligent young man. And I guess he's one of those young kids who knew exactly what he wanted to be early on. This is what it grabbed his interest, and it's something he's done for several years now, and he's only 17, 18 years old.
It's so important to get the young people involved. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add, in addition to Colin and Valerie mentioned Tim Renner earlier, also have a filmmaker and researcher in the cryptozoology side called Alexander Penikoff, and he's researched various different creatures in regards to cryptozoology. He'll talk about things like Champ, which is a Lake Champlain, North America, a creature that's supposed to have been spotted there. So he'll be covering various areas of cryptozoology in creatures as well. So we have a great lineup, and I think it's just going to be more than just the Sasquatch. Although, as Valerie mentioned, that's one of the more prominent things we think of when we hear cryptozoology. But there'll certainly be other things talked about in that field as well.
So you said that Mothman is returning. Tell us what's happening with Mothman. I was part of a Mothman sighting when I was very young, and I think it was probably when I was about 12. I was trying to figure out what year it was. But I didn't know he was returning. Tell us about that. That's exciting.
Well, again, I just think I read on Facebook or on the internet that people are seeing him again. Again, I don't know a lot about it. But I see that his name has shown up a lot more lately, and that I believe that they're seeing some sightings. So that was something that I'll want to learn at the conference. I'm sure one of our speakers will be up to date on the Mothman and Sasquatch and the Nessie. Love Nessie.
One of the stories I heard about the Mothman is that there was a limited number of them, and they had a certain lifespan, but they were stuck here, and it's a very specific, small number of them. I don't know if any of you've heard any of that stuff.
No, again, it's not one of my areas that I know well.
I have not either.
These are all things.
It's fascinating.
So these are all the subjects. Now, I know the X-Files went into a wide variety of subjects. Are there any topics that they covered that you're missing representatives that could talk to you about it? You have, let's see, I'm looking at your stuff. You have ghosts. We covered ghosts. You have psychics, mediums, Bigfoot. Let's see what Joshua does. What does Joshua do? Joshua Kutchin. He
wrote the 3 books. He's a researcher on the paranormal. But he's the author of 3 books: Brimstone Deceit, Trojan Horse, or Trojan Feast. But I think we have almost every area covered. Conspiracy theory was a big part of the X-Files. I think we'll touch upon it, especially when people are experiencers or people who are talking about UFOs and abduction. It will be covered at some point or in some way. I'm hoping to get another speaker, but again, it's not definite. But if I do, that will really be part of the conspiracy. He will add on to the conspiracy theme anyway.
Okay, good.
I mean, just to say about the Sasquatch, the X-Files had, I think it was in their first season. They had a female Sasquatch up in Virginia, and Mulder saw it, and he was trying to save her life because, of course, the scientists were going to, kill her and dissect her and all this stuff. So that was their take on like a Sasquatch, and then they had one on the Fluke Man. If you love the X-Files, you can't forget the Fluke Man. He's kind of hard to describe, but every season they had at least 2 or 3 shows that featured these creatures that could do amazing things or weird things, and so that was a big. So they really helped bring that, alive. I mean, or bring that to attention to people who probably never would have heard of such a thing.
What is that? I've never heard of it. I missed that episode. What is it? What are you spelling? How do you spell that? F-U, the Fluke Man? What are you?
Yeah, F-L-U-K-E. Fluke Man.
S-L-U-K-E.
Yeah.
And was it?
Yeah, F as in Frank.
F. Oh, fluke.
Yeah, F as in.
So what?
Yeah.
Was that a?
It's kind of hard to explain. No, it was a creature. Yeah, it was a creature, I believe, that lived in the shores down underneath the city, and he was this really he was really, yeah, in these stores, and he had this like, I don't know, I don't know how to describe it. Just call it the Fluke Man.
I'll look it up.
You know, and then
I'm going to Google it. The Fluke Man.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can find a picture of the Fluke Man. You've got my curiosity up. Okay, where do we want to go? We've got another 15, 20 minutes, something like that. What do you want to focus on? Telling our listeners about what you're investigating, what you're presenting, your vision. Well, anything you want to talk about. Free flow. Ask me other questions.
Well, Jamie, maybe are you investigating anything now or researching now that you want to talk about?
Sure. I mean, I can talk about some of the things I'm working on. So, well, first of all, I just over the past year, our first daughter. My wife and I have our first daughter. So my 1-year-old is taking precedence over most of my life. So that's a lot of my free time. But she's fantastic. But on the research side, one of the things that really I've been diving into really is. Well, first of all, let me back up a little bit. My research led me to things like the study of consciousness, quantum physics. One of the things is I'm still a scientist, I think, at heart. So, I think science can explain some of it's kind of bridging between the spirituality and science, things like quantum physics and what is our material world made of, and hologram theory in terms of, everything's a frequency. Gary was talking about frequency earlier, and when we look at quantum physics, we look at everything's just a vibrating string, basically, and everything's a vibrational energy. And spirituality has kind of focused on a lot of that aspect of vibrational energy. So I think that's fantastic. So I've been researching a lot about quantum physics, and then on the ufology side, I'm always looking to learn more. I've met some great folks. I've met folks like I mentioned, James Gillen, Richard Dolan. And so I'm always looking to, connect with these folks, learn from them, meet them, and really the ufology aspect, the part that I, really find fascinating and kind of try to educate others about is really the connection with these other beings, and there's so much evidence now that suggests that, that we're not alone. Things like, high-level military witnesses coming forward, credible people that once were in charge of, nuclear launch facilities for the U.S. government. They're coming forward and saying, hey, there are crafts coming above our bases that are rendering our nukes, we cannot launch them when these events have happened, and these witnesses coming forward now. So to me, there's so much evidence there. And so one of the things that I research is the sightings of these craft, what's being done in terms of concerted effort to educate the public. You mentioned earlier, Valerie mentioned the Hellier documentary, and you asked about Paul Hellier. Some of the folks like that, Paul Hellier, who worked for the Canadian government, Ministry of Defense, coming forward and saying, hey, look, this is what we know, and this is some of the things that have happened. So for me, that's kind of the topic that I gravitate towards. One, to help educate others about what's really happening, what I call the real news, and two, once you come to the conclusion that these events are happening, that we're being visited, then you ask naturally why, and what are they all about, and then that's when I think you get into a lot of the the real question of why are we here? What's life all about? What happens after you die? What's our true capability as human beings, and how do we connect with this higher part of who we are? And so, for me, those are the two aspects that I find fascinating and research the most.
Okay, so could you answer those questions in part, at least for yourself? Who are you? Why are you here? And How do you fit into the cosmos?
Yeah, for me, I think it's still a journey. But my current, what I'll say on that is, I think we're non-physical beings experiencing a physical reality. I think we're all part of a unity consciousness, if you will, Sasha. And I think that we see ourselves as separate. This duality concept, but I think it's a singularity, and I think we're all part of it. The way I like to talk about it with my friends who look at me like I might be a little off is that, I think it's like a ripple or a drop of the ocean. That drop thinks it's its own little drop, but what it doesn't realize is it's part of this huge ocean, and it's all connected in that. So I think that's kind of sums up our existence and our nature. And once we realize that connectedness with this universal source, that's when, a lot of the fear and a lot of the victim mentality that so many of us have washes away, and life becomes this exciting adventure and journey. And for me, profound peace comes out of that realization.
Wow. I love what you're saying. It also seems to me that while we're a drop in this vast ocean, that the vast ocean is also fractally within us too, as well. And we're in every drop, just as every drop contains a piece of us. We contain it all too. And it depends.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just follow up. We're going to have a Susan Brunel talk about what happens after death. She wrote the book Spirit of the Dragonfly, and she's a mother, and her 20-year-old daughter tragically died when I believe she was 20 years old, and I believe the book she's going to talk about her journey and how she has still been able to stay connected in different ways with her daughter, even though her daughter has, as they say, passed on. So we're going to have, not just for the research, but we're going to have a lot of people with their own personal experiences talking. And again, I think I really like what Sasha said, is that it's going to be, even if you haven't had the experience, we're going to respect your experience. We're going to learn we can take what we can from your experience, and maybe learn or open up and see how it affects our life. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing I want for the conference, is that we are all part of this, and we all share maybe a part of it, and part of our, I don't know how you want to say it, but part of our existence is to help other people understand what's happening to them, or to open their mind that other things are happening and that they can also be part of it in some way.
Wow. It sounds like you've covered a lot of things. So how is she communicating with her son who died? Does she go into that?
Her daughter.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Her daughter. Her daughter.
Yes, daughter. Yeah, I don't know specifically. I believe it has something to do with dragonflies, but I can't say specifically.
Wow, that'll be interesting, because that'll tie in. Well, I wonder if Gary will be able to add information to what she's getting as well.
Actually, Gary and Virginia actually referred her to me. They know each other and have known each other. So they referred her to me, and I called her up, and it was a good fit, and I thought it was great. And she's going to be speaking Saturday morning.
Yeah. And I just wanted to mention, sorry, about one more thing, is the website xfilesunited.com, for all your listeners. There's a programs and events page, and there's a bio for all of the speakers. We've highlighted a few of them, but there's several more that we didn't even talk about. And so would encourage all the listeners to go and check out the website and check out all the speakers, and you'll see, their background and the phenomenal lineup that we do have in the bio for each one. And you can click on each one of their photos, which will take you to their websites and learn more about them if you're interested. So it's all on the website. Just wanted to throw that out there.
And
yes,
I just want
a wonderful website.
Yeah, I just want to add that we were able to, originally we were going to have 2 separate rooms, but we were able to fit them all in one room. So, I mean, not everyone may attend every speaker, but everyone could if they wanted to. So they don't have to pick and choose. So, again, it'd be a person who might want to hear Susan talk about her experience with her daughter. After that, might want to listen to Tom, who is an experiencer, and his family's experience with the UFO, and so that they can hear every speaker or most of the speakers, even if they don't have interest in it right away. I think our speakers will spark something in them.
So you're going how many days? 3 days?
3 days, yep.
Okay.
And they're full days.
3 days. And you
3 days, yes. We're going to have a dinner, yes. I believe it's like around, we're working on the program. We're actually probably by the end of next week, not this week, and next week, we'll actually have it finalized with the times and dates of people. About, I would say 95% of it is already taken care of, but we have to tweak it a little bit, and it'll be up on the website. And it's for 3 days. I think our first speaker on Friday is, I think it's 10 o'clock. I think it starts really early at 10 o'clock on Friday, or at least by 1 o'clock. I'm not sure. But it starts early. We'll go right through Friday night. We have the Newkirks from about 6 to 8 p.m., and then we have the documentary, The Bridgewater Triangle, and that's from about 8 to 10, or is it right around there? So that's right through the day on Friday, and we start up again 9 o'clock Saturday morning. And that goes right through, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And Sunday we end at 5. But we have several speakers on Sunday, one right after the other, that start, I believe, at no later than 10. I know that.
One of the things I want to mention too, Val, is I think for the listeners, Val's done a phenomenal job to keep it affordable for so many. So for the 3 days, April 26th, 27th, and 28th, all 3 days at the moment, the early registration cost is $60 for all 3 days, which I think is, for those who have attended similar conferences, that's an awesome price, $60 for all 3 days. You can buy a 2-day ticket only if you're interested in coming only 2 days, and that's $45 at the moment. And then a 1-day ticket is $30. So I think those are awesome prices for the lineup that Val's put together here. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out as well.
And of course, we'll have
wonderful.
The speakers. The speakers are going to have their tables, and they're going to have vendors. So, there'll be merchandise and, well, maybe not in all of Paranormal. There might be some jewelry or stuff like that. But it's going to be a full conference. It's going to be full. There'll be something for everybody. I don't think we've left anyone out in any way. Oh, and there's plenty of parking.
Like it's going to be full.
Yep, there's plenty of parking.
Does it hold? How many people can you fit in your conference?
Well, we're hoping to get anywhere from 200 to 300. Probably more if they don't stay, if they come and go. But we want at least 200 to 300 to come. But with walk-ins and late arrivals, we're talking probably more like maybe 400 or so. Again, most people aren't going to. Some people aren't going to spend all 3 days. Some, Saturday is always the busiest day. Saturday, you always have the highest attendance. Sunday, and then Friday. So it varies from each day, and it varies from time to time. Some people like the morning, but aren't going to stay for the evening. Some people will stay for the evening, but they don't get to the conference until, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So people will be going in and out, in and out. We'll have a steady stream.
It's a great venue too. I just wanted to throw out that it's at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Warwick, Rhode Island, which is really close to the Providence Airport. Great location, and the venue is fantastic. Really nice hotel. So the event room itself can hold several hundred. So it's a great place and awesome, great place to visit for those that might not be in the area.
Yeah, the TF Green Airport it's actually in Warwick, but they go by Providence because that's our capital city. We're the smallest state in the union, so the hotel is really only 3 miles away from the airport, and there's a free shuttle going back and forth. So it's very easy to get to the hotel or to get back to the airport. It'll be very, very easy. It won't take a lot of time. You don't have to drive another 4 hours. It's right. It's pretty much in its backyard, and there's plenty of parking. The website for the hotel is up on our. The information for the hotel is up on the website. People just have to remember to use the code XFU when they're registering. If they decide to come and they're going to stay at the hotel, they must use the code XFU so that when you're making the registration, they know that you're part of the conference and you're going to get the conference rate.
So what's your favorite topic?
For me, I think it would have to be, that's a hard one. I have never had any personal experience.
Your top three. How's that?
Top three. Okay. Top three would be the paranormal investigating, and then the aliens, and
we're out of time. Sorry to interrupt you, but we ran out of time. I forgot to look at the clock. So thank you so much for coming on today. We had a great show. Much love and blessings.
Thank you.
And aloha.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at buyer risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free, but there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed. People working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country was founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined by the banks. Open your eyes to banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Who? Thomas Jefferson. Because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said. He also said that every generation needs a revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that. Just a dream. War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means. This is our bank. This